It was a nice sunny afternoon, and the sun was quite bright, and I wanted to film it with my drone setting. So I took it down to the field near to edge of Goring to film the sunset, and I took this picture, and I wanted to film it with my setting with my drone. And unfortunately, some clouds came along and it disappeared only about a minute or two just as I was setting up the drone, so I didn't actually catch that. It's also very windy as well, so I was also a bit concerned about strong gusts would be too much for the drone. This is UAV Forecast. It's an app I got on my phone. You can easily find it, download it. It gives the wind data all the time, and the sunsets, and the satellite lock, KP readings, average wind speed, wind gusts, wind direction. So in this case, the average winds was 53, and it says that it's 71 at this time in the area I was flying the drone. The thing to remember is that if the wind is greater than the drone's actual maximum speed, which is about 60 kilometers an hour for a Mini 3 Pro in sports mode, if it actually exceeds, what happens is the drone will be kind of humming, make a loud kind of hum that it does when it's in sports mode, and it will basically drift sideways or backwards depending direction the drone's facing. So and that's if the gusts of wind are greater than 60 kilometers an hour, sort of roughly like that, to 70, it would start to drift off. So say 71 kilometers an hour is about 11 or 12 kilometers an hour more than the drone could maintain, so the drone would drift off at about 12 kilometers an hour, sort of, for example. This is Airdata UAV. It's another, you can get various other results. You can put in the location where you are. So if we put in Worthing, and this is the winds, the lower one is kind of the average, approximately average wind speed, and that would be with ground winds to 120 meters, which is legal maximum that we can fly in the UK. And then it gives you the gusts. It's quite windy today compared to the other day I was flying. From here it's over 100 kilometer an hour to 120, so it's actually getting more windy in the last half hour that I've been looking at this. Okay, I'm just about to take off here, just getting the drone set up and checking all the things are set up so it can fly. I put a larger screens inside, so it's a bit better definition at 4K, whereas the other is just a controller screen.
Take off. The home coordinate has been updated. Please check it on the map.
I put some of the sound effects to the drone as it flies away. When it flies into the strong wind, kind of gives this whining hum. here we got strong wind warning, just to stay at a lower altitude and return to home manually. This is a message you get if the winds start to get quite strong, over like 10 meters a second. Here you get 42.37 kilometers an hour, now 60. This was the readings I got from Airdata UAV, so I've just added that to kind of give an idea where that is in conjunction with the time of the flight. So it's not having much any real effect on our flying the drone here. You sometimes get a bit of a winding sound from the drone when the winds get really strong. You can hear it, but even though the drone is quite high up. So sometimes whenever the drone encounters a lot of wind, it kind of gives this hum high up. So I've climbed up to the 102 meters here. Winds are around 50. I think the average was 54 kilometers an hour at this height at this particular time. So obviously the sun's just about to go below the horizon, but the clouds are in the way, so I didn't get any sunset pictures or anything here now. It's totally behind the clouds. So 52.85 kilometers an hour. So here I decide to take a picture. There we go, a nice picture. Take a close up. So the drone is quite stable even in relatively strong winds, around 56 kilometer an hour winds. Winds of 58 kilometers an hour now. Now move forward a bit, flying into the wind again. So we've got a little bit of wind coming back a bit. I'll just bring the drone backwards a little. Generally it stabilises position to a few seconds. Now here I kind of know that the maximum speed of the drone is about just around 60 kilometers per hour, just below. So providing the winds don't exceed that maximum speed of the drone, you should be able to fly the drone. But different drones don't always specify the maximum speed, so be aware when flying your drone of the maximum speeds. Otherwise it might suddenly find it's not drifting away, especially when winds are like where it start to get quite strong. And this is actually stronger than the certified DJI's certified maximum speed for the Mini 3 Pro, which is 10.7 meters per second wind resistant. So it's something to be aware of. Here I pushed the drone a couple of times forward, but are not really moving much forward because of the wind strength. Yeah, when you flying in these winds, I'm trying to move the drone a little bit forward. Here we go. It's trying to move it into a 58 kilometer an hour wind. It's not really, if anything, it's going slightly backwards. It's kind of not really making any forward movement in sports mode, so it's literally at the limit of what the drone can do in this kind of wind. So in actual fact, it's when you push forward and backwards at 58 kilometers an hour, 59, it's like actually drops backwards. So where the time is 16:52, the sun's more or less set. It's the battery's fallen below 30%, so it's time to bring the drone back, because I'm not doing anything in the drone and it's starting to drift. So it's time to bring the drone back down. Yeah, 24%, so it's going down pretty fast. When you're in strong winds that are like the maximum the drone can perform, it eats through the battery very quickly. So you really have to be alert for goes from 30 to 20 very quickly. So just move back to where I'm home. At this point, I'm actually watching the drone, and the drone goes into return to home mode. Because I'm actually watching the drone at this moment, I don't actually look at the screen, so I didn't notice that it went into return to home. Thinking, what happening? What's the dude doing now? I have to tap the cancel. So bring the back manually. Don't want to land on the wet grass. And the wind's now kind of gentle, but it's still a bit of a few gusts that make the drone bounce a bit. So I decide to grab it carefully from underneath and spin it, and this kills the motor, and so you can instantly move without any problems. If we look at the flight logs and you upload it to Airdata UAV, you get this sheet of data. If we're interested in winds, you can get the winds on the actual day. So 39, this is probably at ground level if you didn't have any trees in the way, because it wasn't really that windy with the trees and things in the way. So average wind, this is for all over the entire flight, with the gusts being 59. But if you go to altitude profile, it gives the average wind speed for those altitudes. So for the average speed was a bit higher when I was high up, about 54 kilometers the average speed. So that's quite close to the actual limit of the drone's capability. So if it gets beyond 60, it'll start to drift away. So you can see, just bring it down about 30 or 40 meters can make 15 or 20 kilometer hour difference. And then you can see where all the readings were taken when making the flight. So it's quite a lot actually over that period. The strongest being at 58.9, so 59 at the 8 minutes and 45 seconds. So it's quite near to the limit. It did say 71 kilometers an hour for the strongest gusts, but we didn't get any of that. It was about 10, 12 or 13 kilometers an hour off that kind of strength, but it's quite close. You can download the KML files to Google Earth. So if we go to Google Earth, you can actually see what the flight looked like approximately. So I didn't go far from fly very far from home at all here. Quite more because I was just, it is kind of a risk to go into when it's very windy, to, because as you say, if your drone, for instance, drifted off here and you lost connection, it might not return to home. So with the winds coming from this direction, you want to keep the drone, fly the drone into the wind. So if you did lose connection, there's a good chance that it would return to home, but no guarantees in very strong winds. So you do have to have a little bit careful when in strong winds how you fly, just to make sure that you keep the drone close to you, just in case you lose connection. Not that it's a big risk, but and the drone is quite high up, so it's almost zero chance of losing any connection, to be honest, but there's always a minutely small chance. But my main worry was that the winds were stronger than, because you can't actually see how strong the winds are. So even though the winds never actually went above 60, if it does go beyond 60, it might drift off.